GGRC.
Hey everybody, welcome to another comic review with me, RC, here on GGRC. Today, we're going to be talking about a comic series that I just recently finished, but it's not a recently released one. It's another oldie but goodie. But I felt like this was one I had to tell you guys about. This one is called Sweet Tooth. Now, Sweet Tooth is a very interesting and dark series. You'll notice on the cover of this one here, that is Gus. Gus is a boy that is half deer. He lives in the woods by himself. His dad, who's really religious, has raised him to be sort of a kind thing, a kind kid to people. And his dad has taught him also how to track in the woods, that kind of thing, to respect nature, that whole idea, I guess. So fast forward, and you come to find out that while Gus has existed as a half deer, that there are actually other children who have this half animal thing going on as well. There's a pig girl, there's a beaver boy, there's actually, a kid that's part bird that can fly around. There's a lot of them in this world. And this is where the dark part comes in, is that while these children have been existing, the regular humans have been dying off. So let's say, for example, if one child comes into the world, another human is probably sick somewhere with boils and everything. It's not a good way to go. It looks really hurtful and terrifying. So Gus has been alone in this cabin in the woods for a very long time, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a man by the name of Jepperd shows up and offers to take him away to some utopia. In fact, he helps him in the first book as well, to the point where Gus isn't sure whether he should trust him, but decides to go along with him anyway. He says, "Okay, I'll give it a shot. Let's see what could happen." He's very suspicious because he doesn't know too many new people, right? And along the way, Jepperd, kind of finds him and Gus in all these different crazy situations, like where people want to murder them, and it is a hellacious world. You got to think of it as sort of The Walking Dead, but with all of these people that are still existing, assuming they're going to get sick soon and just wanting to take over and kill these children who are part animal, because a lot of people blame them for the sickness that's going on. So basically what ends up happening is Jepperd takes him to this utopia place, and it definitely is not what he promised. It's a very, very scary place. I don't want to spoil any more than that of this series for you guys, but basically he goes to this really scary place, and the rest of the series goes from there. It gets to the point where you experience Gus's life from there, and as it goes on through the rest of the book, and come to find out that there's actually a very special, in almost I don't know if I want to say religious or elder being reason for why all of this has happened, why these children are showing up as half animal, why the humans are dying off and stuff. There's a bigger picture reason why this is all going on, and I don't really want to spoil it for you guys, but I gotta say, I absolutely love this series. I could not wait to get books 4, 5, and 6. My library had 1 through 3, and I was like, you know what, I heard good things about this series. I'm going to check it out. And I did, and I was not... I definitely was not disappointed. I got to read through the first 3, and then I had to painstakingly wait for one of our other libraries in the area to get the other 3 so I could read them, because man, are they good. Now, I want to talk about the author for a moment here, because Jeff Lemeire has been doing comics for a long time. He's a Canadian artist/writer. He actually does all of the artwork and the stories for Sweet Tooth, in addition to many other books that he has written in the past as well. I gotta say, ever since I finished Sweet Tooth, I've been on a binge of his work, and his work is, in my opinion, top notch. It's unique. Most of the time it's dark in some way. A lot of it is very Will Eisner-ish, where it tells real life stories. Some of his stuff is very true to life. This one's a bit more sci-fi, and that kind of thing. But a lot of his other work is about real people experiencing real things and dealing with it in that kind of way. He actually does another series called Essex County, which I believe is where he's from. I don't know that for sure, but I think that's where he's from. And he writes this very real story about how all of these families and people are somehow related in some way or another, and sort of like all of their different tragedies as they go, from being a child to being an adult to finally passing on. And it's a wonderful book. But the reason why I picked Sweet Tooth today to talk about, because a lot of Jeff Lemire stuff is brilliant and really good, but I kind of feel like this is his opus. If not his opus, this is a great gateway series for you to get into his stuff. There's a lot of his other stuff I could talk about as well, but we're here to talk about Sweet Tooth. But Sweet Tooth is like, it's dark, it's gritty, it has a little bit of a sci-fi twist to it. It has characters that you are going to grow to love. Gus is going to be one of them, because you get to be with Gus from him being a child all the way to eventually being an adult. And somehow that is done through only 6 volumes of this. I mean, these aren't like tiny volumes, but they're not huge either. This isn't like, this one book is not like an omnibus or anything like that. So I'm very impressed with the amount of story that he crams into every issue and every volume of this, because sometimes you'll get a comic issue in a series you like and there'll be nothing that happens in it. But this, every single issue of it pulls the story forward. And even if it's not an issue that focuses on Gus at the moment, it's giving you background story as to why things are happening. So really, I think that this is like, in my opinion, I've only read through it once. I really want to read through it again in maybe a year or two when it can be somewhat fresh again, and see if there's anything that I may have missed, or that kind of thing. Kind of like watching a movie for the second time and seeing things you haven't seen before. But I love the characters in this. I absolutely love the writing. I like the dialogue. The dialogue feels real. The children feel real, which is what I like. I absolutely hate reading comics where writers try to write for women and for kids, and they don't understand people in different situations in their lives, or different genders or different ages. And I just feel like Jeff really gets it in this book. Like, he gets, Gus never seems like he isn't the kid from the woods. He is always that kid from the woods, and he gets a little bit smarter and wiser as it goes on, but he's still always that kid from the woods, and that's what I like about it. And when they add other kids in that become his friend, it's the same thing. You get to learn more about them, but they're still those kids. They don't become this like weird thing where like, whoa, this is completely out of character for these characters, Jeopard, also grows from being, the kind of almost bounty hunter-ish type of character he is. And then, even by the second and third book with Jeopard, even though you kind of hate him for him dropping Gus off in this like not good place, you end up feeling really sorry for him for why he did it. Like, he's in a conundrum as to why he had to do it, and you feel really bad for him. But yeah, I adore this series, and I think this is a series you need to check out. If you guys couldn't tell from my previous comic review for I Kill Giants, I like superhero comics, but I'm more into comics that are different than that. I like when they cover a more sci-fi basis, or something that may be more real life or whatever. Very Eisner-ish stuff. I really like that stuff. I do like superhero comics as well, but I feel like a lot of it nowadays is very kind of samey compared to a lot of this kind of stuff that is available. So this is the kind of stuff I like to talk about, because I feel like the comics like Batman and Superman and all that stuff gets so much attention that books like these do not get talked about, which is why I wanted to talk about Sweet Tooth. So regardless, guys, if you're looking for a dark, original story that has really likable characters that you're going to actually be really sad to say goodbye to by the time you get to the end, because that's how I felt. I got to the end of the 6th book and I'm like, I can't believe I'm done reading this. It's kind of how I felt when Fables finished. Fables is another favorite of mine. I would put this in the same category as that. But when Fables finally finished, I'm like, man, I can't believe like all these books later, like it's finally done. There's no more. And that's how this is. It's one concise story. You're not going to have a continuation. You're not going to have a spin-off. This is it. This is where you're at. Though I wouldn't mind a spin-off, to be quite honest. It'd be cool if we followed another child or something during this time, or maybe when they became adults. I don't know, something like that. But man, excellent series. Can't say enough good about it. But guys, I definitely recommend checking it out, because, yeah. Too good for words, really, at times. It's one of those books I just want to put in your hands and go, read it. Just read it. But there you go, guys. That's my Sweet Tooth review. Just wanted to give you another recommendation for anybody out there who might be looking for something new that they may not have read before. Like I said before, a lot of Jeff Lemire stuff is really good. You're not really going to go wrong with most of his stuff, but I think this is where you ought to start if you want to get into his work. But there you go, guys. That is a comic review for Sweet Tooth. And of course, I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.